everybody. Welcome once again to Apostolic Children's Ministry Podcast. We have taken a few weeks off for the holidays, but we are back. We had 2 weeks in a row with no Sunday school, and quite frankly, that was really weird. That was weird. So when you guys grunt or whatever, like do it in the mic.
In the microphone?
So what it sounded like is like I was just pausing for no particular... Really, they were responding, I promise. I have you muted. Yeah, you were totally dead.
It was my fault, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just saying that I nodded my head loudly a couple of times, and then turns out he had me muted.
We heard the rattle.
So. I'm still apparently grounded from the podcast because I failed Thanksgiving all those many months ago.
What happened? What
It's okay. It's okay. If you forgot it, that's probably the better thing.
I know you failed Thanksgiving, but I remember macaroni and cheese more than anything. So
yes, and so because of that, I got grounded from the podcast until this year.
Oh, I got it.
Oh,
okay.
no.
So as you can see, we are back with, right on the same vein that we left, as in already being a little off topic.
I think it's all very topically.
Yes, it is on topic for us, I guess. But we have, like I said, a couple weeks off, and January, was it 7th? My dates are off
7th.
a little. That was our first Sunday back since
yes.
December 17th, I believe, was our last one.
Long time.
Doesn't it, man, it's all like, that was last year.
Wow.
Last year.
Crazy.
So long ago.
And we've had some big changes in the structure of our Sunday school. We already did discuss that on the podcast. So today we're going to reveal how it went. And maybe it was a really bad idea. Who knows?
But they don't know who's here.
No, it wasn't.
Huh?
They don't know who's here on the podcast.
True. That is true. Yeah, a sneak preview or spoiler, it wasn't a bad idea. But we have, to my left, someone that has not been here for quite a while. It is...
Sarah.
Tirado.
Yes.
We have to have a last name on the Sarah because that is ambiguous. And
There's
we
so
have
many of us.
Leia once again, and
Brie.
Bree, the one who's been ducking us for a few weeks, but we finally got her back on the podcast.
Wasn't ducking, I was grounded.
No, actually, she's been picking up people for church, and therefore she had to take them home. And typically we record this after service. In fact, this is a different week for us. We're doing a week of prayer and fasting. So tonight, very different type of service. Pastor did speak, but then it was prayer before and after. So we're it's about 9:18 our time, which is a little bit earlier.
Early for us.
Yeah, This is good. But let's go ahead and just go straight into it. So Sunday school, our 5 to 11-year-old class, or what we call our super class, was getting ridiculously big.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Extra
in the
large.
best way. But
Yes. Well, no, not really the best way.
okay, like number-wise.
Number-wise, yes. So I think we had
functionality
between 130 and 150 for the last month or
Yes.
2
Yeah.
months.
For a while.
Yeah, long enough for it to be an issue, a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
The teaching was not super effective, not for lack of trying. Just there's
Right.
just that many bodies in a room. We put speakers in the back of the room and try to overpower the rumble, the roar.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
That helped, but it didn't solve it.
Sometimes it felt like it helped to increase their volume.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that because now they're trying to overcome.
They said, "Oh, challenge
the speakers.
accepted."
We can step up. No problem. Yeah, so that was interesting. So we broke off the 10 and 11-year-olds, and we had the 10 and 11 boys in our class. Our being, we had 5 of our teachers split off in there. And then we had the 10 and 11 girls, and that is represented by you 3 and a couple others.
Ooh, minus 2. 2 are missing.
But isn't that
2 are
cool?
missing.
We
That's
had
super
5 in each of our classes.
Yeah.
And still another, what,
6 or 7?
6 or
At
7
least
super
6 or
class?
7.
That's
Yeah.
17 people helping.
A lot
That's
of
amazing
teachers.
now that we think
That is
about
so
it.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, we did recruit. We got in some new help, new blood.
Yay.
Sister Kim Ramos, Sarah Booker's sister, is here, and they've been here for a few months down from Fremont. They have moved down here, and they're going to be an incredible asset.
Yes.
So she's in super class.
So
We'll have
excited.
to bribe her to come on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
I don't think we'll have to bribe too hard.
Somehow.
I love bribery.
She loves that. She's really willing to participate
Awesome.
in anything kid related.
Yes.
So I love it. And then Seth Clark.
Mm-hmm.
I actually reached out to him. I didn't wait for him to come
Oh, that's awesome.
because he's that. I don't know how else to say it. He's one of the cool guys to the kids. Like
Yes, he
they
is.
look up to him.
Oh,
and
very
they think
true.
that he's just a cool dude. And so he would be a good fit for that 10 to 11-year-old boy class. And he was.
Very good fit.
Yeah. So we split those out. We had about 20 in our class. Actually, it was 19, and you guys had
14.
14. So 19, 14. My maths on the spot ain't good, but that's a lot of kids.
That's pretty good.
No, so we had about 35 kids that we pulled out. We were shooting for around 40, so that's great for the first week, especially since we were lower on our buses.
Oh, yes.
Which is not anything to be, it's not remarkable after being off for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we had 80-ish.
84,
riders.
I think. Yeah.
Down from 159. So when we get back up to speed, we'll have full classes. Very full.
Very
so
quickly.
excited.
So let's go ahead and go through our schedule. You guys know what we do in our super class, and if you don't, you can kind of review the last few podcasts and kind of get a feel of what we do there. It's very similar to what we have done in our 10 to 11, but we have taken that formula and extrapolated it to a 10 and 11 mentality and a little bit longer time frames. So instead of the 4 to 8 minutes, we've expanded it to 5 to 10 minutes. Roughly 1 minute per age is a good rule of thumb. And so we were able to expand that. Why don't we start with the girls' class? You guys started off with a bang. I saw your decorations in your class.
We did. We kind of brainstormed. I said, let's decorate. We need to make it cool and look good for the girls. So we thought,
can we talk about that real quick?
Yes.
So there's a lot of churches that are in the situation that we have found ourselves in with our two classes, which is you don't have a permanent space. And the challenge is, man, it's so much work to decorate and set all this up just to have to tear it down 2 hours later. It's almost too much work. Let's not even bother.
I would disagree, though.
I obviously disagree because we decorated as well.
Yes.
But I can see people falling into that trap of, well, it's just not worth it if you got to pull it down again. And it is frustrating, quite frankly. I mean, how cool is it when you have a permanent space like we have in Superclass where we can kind of leave everything
We
up.
were dreaming of that as we were preparing. We were like, this is what we want.
Yeah.
We did have that in our hearts. But I reached out to you, Brother Phillip, and said, can we decorate this room? Because it's not ours. It's a classroom for the Christian school. So we didn't want to get in their way, but we also wanted it to be something different for the girls to walk into. So we went very inexpensive. We got some, I guess it's like a plastic type tablecloth off of Amazon. We got those foam boards from Home Depot. They were $10. And we built a whole backdrop that this week will completely cover the back wall. It kind of played into our lesson for last week. And so this week they'll come in and the whole wall will be built. It's going to be kind of cool.
Genius.
So
It'll be fun.
It was a castle style.
Castle. We did the theme of Esther, and we had actually another young lady. She printed on, what is it, Bree?
A cricket? No,
The cricket. Okay, so she printed the words, for such a time as this. Our idea is that the girls come into this castle theme, and I want them to get the understanding that they are created for such a time as this. It doesn't matter what time period you were born in. You were created for this time, right now, here and now. And we want the Bible to be we want to show them how very relevant it is to them, to today, to their friends and everybody they meet. So we brought in the theme of Esther. We did a whole throne. We just created what we could with what was in there. So the teacher has this half moon table. We flipped it on its side and covered it in purple material and made a throne.
You guys are so much more creative than us. We hid ours because they had the same table in our room, and we just shoved it in a corner and covered it up. Yeah. So and you guys gave us inspiration too when you guys posted the picture of your castle and stuff, because I didn't know what direction we were going to go, and I was trying to coordinate with the other teachers. You know,
I thought your guys was really cool though.
Well, it came out well thanks to you guys. So we just stole your idea. I'm like, hey, they got a castle, we got a castle.
Nice.
And I did have access to where the drama props were stored. So I was able to liberate a few panels of the stone walls. So we took those and propped those out, bought a backdrop off of Amazon, and
we'll put everything back, Sister Sarah, we promise.
Yes, everything will be returned.
I'm not promising anything. Let's just say we have it and we know where it's at. I'm kidding. We put it back when we're done. Then we have all the shields from last time we did the castle, which that's the theme that we're going to be running with in February. So this is a great sneak peek to the kids. And we're doing it for the SCC conference too.
That's going to be fun.
So excited.
Yes,
Well, I guess we should just, man, we get sidetracked so easy.
No, this is all on track.
Is it?
Oh, I will say, so before you go on, I will say we created or built our castle wall to be easy to take down and put up so that any one of us girls in 10 minutes could set up our classroom. We want it to be easy and functional.
Where are you guys storing everything, by the way?
In the super class. Where else? No.
No, I assumed you'd have to.
So they're the foam
Unless you
boards.
put it in the container.
So we glued the castle wall to the foam boards and they fold up.
Right.
And they are only an inch thick folded. So then we just slid it behind against the wall behind the sound box that we have.
That's cool.
And it just fits right there against the wall. It's not in the way. So it's really easy.
We did put ours in the container where we stole the Easter drama props from. And the backdrop we bought just folds up. It's just we just hung it from the ceiling on hooks.
Nice.
So it was just like a cloth.
We're too short to reach the ceiling.
It's true.
I am too. I can stand on a chair with the best of them. So we had two castles side by side. The guys had the night uniform that we used to use for Summit. By the way, we're not doing. Should I break the news? Am I breaking the news? I don't know if anybody knows yet.
Not without the tumbleweed sound. You can't do without that.
That was perfect. He just knew. That was impressive.
So at Summit, we've done the Kingdom Kids, the castle, the knights and all that for the last, 7 years? 7 years running?
At least.
Yeah, since 2016. And we are not doing a castle anymore. So we had to redo the whole set because it's falling apart, which out of use. I mean, we've had it it's made out of styrofoam, lasted 7 years. It's a pretty good run.
That has worked very well.
So we had the thought, do we scrap it and rebuild another castle, which a lot of people are in favor of, or while we're rebuilding anyway, do we come up with a new theme? And that's what we came up with. So we're doing a Western theme
Was that
for
because of boots?
Summit. You know what? He did weigh a little heavily into it. So we have the rubber
So
bandit
excited.
and boots.
I love boots.
Visiting Summit next year. But yeah, so we're going with Western, and it's going to be a 2-story. So we can have people walking out like a balcony.
how cool.
So it's going to be cool. So anybody that's let down by not having the castle, I get it. I promise we have. This is not a easy decision. Kids have connected with the characters that we built over the last 7 years. There's a lot of little things that have been added until it's become this really neat environment. And it's going to happen with the Western theme too.
It is.
So we hate that. No, I don't. I'm torn because I love the castle.
It'll be a fun change.
It will be a fun change, and the Western's an easy thing for people to get costumes for, and the kids can come dressed up the part if they want. You know, we never.
That's true. It's a good point.
It'll be cool.
Yeah, so I think it'll be neat. So what we're doing at SCC conference, which is a conference that we do at various churches around the area, we get together and we have a Thursday night, Friday night service, and the Friday night is always packed, like crazy packed, like setting out lots and lots of chairs packed. And so I suggested that we have a children's service at the same time, which would pull out, my guess is around 200 people, probably between the kids and the people helping. And so we're going to have those here in our Spanish sanctuary. And we're going to have a big service here, and we are doing the castle. We're resurrecting our castle, and we're gonna have a good time there. So,
I think it'll be great here because we haven't had it here for how long?
Well, we're not having that castle,
but we haven't done the theme here for a while.
Again, 2016, we did it here. The first year we did Summit. We might have done it in 2017 here because we did it after Summit.
I think it was 2017.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
It's like 2 years after I came to this church.
Oh my word!
It's been a while.
Crazy.
I remember it.
2 years before I came.
So we're overdue for a castle theme here.
Yes, well overdue. And when we're done with that, we'll move it into the super class, and they can use it. And then we'll all three have castles, and we will castle it up for a few months together.
You get a castle. You get a castle.
Everybody gets a castle. That's right. Okay, so now that we are are 15 minutes in. We still haven't talked a lick about the schedule. Maybe this will be a good time.
Well, that's true. We have not yet.
So let's start with the girls. The girls, what all did you guys have prepped, and what was our overall theme and topic?
We made soup.
We didn't make soup.
Did you cook, Leia?
Where was I?
You were in the pot, probably.
She's into cooking teachers. No.
I was like, who made soup? Where was I missed it.
So we did the theme. So we wanted to start with a bang. First one, we did the castle, we did the throne, and then we did the memory verse. And we thought, well, let's keep going with the idea. Let me throw in there. Our topic was making good goals and living for God in 2024.
Yes.
So we thought, we need to have them journals so they can write down their goals. So we got them
cool.
these little sachets with a little journal in it and a pen. Is like,
This is my first time hearing a lot of this. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then it had a little bookmark, and they all had scripture on it, and it was really cool. So we had these little baggies to give to the girls for their goals.
Cool.
How interesting is it that there are benefits of having a small class when we're so used to having 150 kids? We can't buy notebooks for 150 kids on a whim, but you can do it for 15, 20 pretty easy.
Yeah. And
It
that was
was
such a good
easy.
idea, too.
Well, and then too, they're 10 and 11, so they can write in it.
True. Instead of
And
Yeah,
instead of
that's true.
5-year-olds who are still just learning. So it's adaptable to that 10, 11-year-old where it's more, I saw a lot of the girls, which was so cool, using them in church. I was like,
Oh.
I love that.
That's neat.
And then Bree, what did you do for the verse?
Oh, so then for the memory verse, Sister Leia and I think we all kind of schemed this idea, but we were like, it'd be so cool to give them scrolls with the memory verse on it. So I had coffee stained a bunch of papers and so it looked like old and like weathered and stuff. And then we tested it out to see if they would print, and they did. It took a couple of tries. It took me like 30 minutes to figure out the printer in the office, but I figured it out eventually. But we ended up printing them on the actual stained papers, and they're super cool. So we're like, we should roll them up and like tie them with like a ribbon and stuff. Then I was like, we should do even a step further. I have a wax seal kit at home. So then at the end of each verse, I stamped it with a wax seal with like a heart on it, because it's like love God kind of thing.
Yes.
So then we rolled those up and we gave those to the girls to take home and memorize.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was really neat.
So there is there's positives and negatives to everything. So the big class, you have some dynamics that are really positive and really exciting and really fun, and action songs, and the community. It's just a lot of stuff that it's difficult to replicate in a smaller class.
Right.
And so some people looking at that from like maybe it's a church that's not quite as large, man, thinking one day we can have a class like that. You have things that you can't get in a
Right.
larger class like
True,
that.
yeah.
That we are just experiencing and really loving.
Yes.
Yes,
really
big
cool.
time.
Yes.
To have 19 kids that I could literally make connection with every one of them while I'm teaching.
That was a huge
Looking
one.
at
That's
them
a
in the
huge
eyes.
point we talked about all week.
Yes.
If a kid's acting up, I literally would go by and just like put my hand on the shoulder while I'm talking, and it would stop it. Mm-hmm. I didn't even say anything to him. I didn't have to. It was the coolest thing ever. You can't do that in that bigger environment.
Right.
So, man, I'm really digging this. So
It's fun.
And
Yes.
what's cool is we're doing a month in our class, in the smaller class right now, and then we're going to do a month back in the super class. I'm assuming some of us are probably going to have, be
Back to
in
back
one
kinda
area.
thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. We'll do the best we can to rotate.
Right, for
So we're
shuffling.
going to get to experience both, and it's going to be neat.
Yeah.
To see the pros and cons of both. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's really
I agree.
cool.
I'm really excited.
So let's go through your schedule. So you did your welcome. I don't think Erica actually made it in your class, did she?
She didn't, but it was really easy to kind of jump in and cover.
So
with each
Erica
other.
Trotto is Sarah's sister, and she was dealing with the situation. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
When you run buses, you have all kinds of personalities, and we had a interesting one, and she had to deal with it. So she didn't make it in the class. So what did you guys do, or how soon did you guys find out that she wasn't even going to be there?
It was about 5 minutes before class started.
Ooh.
So we just roll with it. We just take up the slack, and we just jumped in. I think if I remember right, I jumped in on the fly and just did the welcome and the birthdays. We didn't have any birthdays, but in the moment, I was like, you know what? This is a new class. We need to write all your birthdays down. So I wrote their birthdays down.
Do that for 130 kids.
I know.
Ain't happening, especially with a 5-year-old. They're like, I don't know. I don't even know how old I am.
Like, just pick one.
When my birthday is.
Exactly.
That's great.
So we got a whole list of their birthdays of all the girls that we had in there.
That's so cool.
Kind of help do attendance at the same time.
I need to make notes because I didn't do some of this stuff that you all did, and it's good stuff. All right, get
Good for
birthdays for boys.
And then I kind of was out to sea without a ship or paddles or anything, and I was like, rules. Yeah, we have rules.
We have those. Don't be a menace.
And Sarah jumped in. Thank you, Jesus, for Sarah.
Because I was like, it's soap.
It's soap.
Well, we
Bring the soap.
We didn't do that in ours, by the way. We told the boys that we're too cool for soap in our class. They're stinky boys, so we're like, nah, we don't do soap. But we got better, easier rules. Okay. So we'll get into those in a minute.
That's funny.
But yeah.
Yeah,
girls do soap, guys.
She helped me out and came in and did soap for me. Suddenly I couldn't remember.
Sarah to the rescue. That's cool.
Then prayer requests, that was you again?
Yes, but we did it like before class. So I bought like this cute little treasure chest to go with the castle theme.
It was so cute.
And it has flowers on it. So as they came in, I had index cards and pens. And so they came in. And because it's such a small class, like they came in and we were outside. So they came in, they did their prayer request. There's a coloring page they could do. Or they just sat there and waited for us. But they just put their prayer requests in the box so we can have them to pray for them.
So neat.
That's cool. So prayer requests, we actually did those live because we had fewer kids. It was wonderful. They could actually raise their hands and say what it was. It was cool. It was
How
really
cool is that?
To see
awesome.
them more engaged like that, I thought was really neat too. Because I mean, you can see that in a bigger classroom, but not as much, like a one-on-one kind of thing. So I thought that was super neat.
I love that you guys did a coloring page. We had Bob Lee do something. I don't even know what he did, quite frankly, because I was on the bus, and so I showed up about 10 minutes till, and then I'm throwing on my night costume and all this stuff. Hold on. We skipped something about Sunday that we didn't even talk about. You psychopaths all showed up dressed a little bit differently than normal.
And somebody wasn't.
Didn't even notice.
I know.
Well, yes, Okay, I didn't connect the dots. I'm very slow. Can we explain to the people
Those were really
what on
big
earth
dots,
just
too.
happened? So, okay,
Very bright
let me say
dots.
this. So I show up at class, and I am not dressed in my normal Sunday school attire, which I is pretty typical. I haven't, pretty flamboyant costume or whatever. This
Extremely
time, because I'm about to put a night costume over, I couldn't put anything too fluffy on because let's just say the night costumes are already a little snug on me. All right, let's just be real.
You wore all black.
Well, I'm putting a night costume over me.
Doesn't mean to dress like the nighttime.
The total opposite.
No. Hold on. I had my staff shirt on, to be fair.
It's true.
And my jeans were not black.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Okay.
But
all right.
but my point is, so I didn't show up dressed like I normally do. Okay? But everybody else was dressed like I normally do. Every single person.
Oh my.
So first of all, I see Bree. She has a hamburger hat on, an orange coat,
blazer,
I think.
and then like a blue dress and like different colored shoes on.
And when I saw her,
Electric
because she was there
blue.
pretty early
yeah.
because we had to reset up the class. And let's just say, okay, listen, I'm not smart, but I'm also not totally stupid. I thought that looked familiar, but you're not exactly going to say, oh, that looks like how I normally do. You know what I mean? It's not exactly something that you're going to phrase. So I was like, wow, you're very colorful.
And I was like,
Well, and then they started showing up one by one, and they were all dressed the same way.
oh,
way.
it was so funny. Okay,
Orange.
so here's what happened. Okay, so myself and Liz were talking like a couple months back, and we're like, wouldn't it be so funny if we all pranked Philip and dressed up like him one Sunday?
New year, new us, but we're Brother Philip.
Yes. And she's like, yeah, that'd be so hilarious. And then this was, of course, at like midnight. So, of course, all the brilliant ideas happened at that time. And I was like, oh, we should actually do it. So then right at that moment, we make a secret group chat that says everyone but Philip.
Have you ever felt excluded before? I mean, it's like
You didn't know you were excluded until Sunday.
all the cool people, except the one not cool person, is not invited.
Was that not such labeling? So anyway, we put all the teachers in there. We're like, you guys, we have such a hilarious idea. What do you guys think? And we didn't think we were going to get that much like of a support or like I guess an answer from it. And everyone was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, oh, my dream's coming true.
When Ruben walked in, that's when my head like hurt. I'm like, this is not coincidence. There's no way. And he had the suspenders. He had everything.
It was so neat.
It was a trip. And then all
hilarious.
of the
Yes.
Sarah Booker, Kim Ramos, Natalia, Elena, all of them show up with these orange cowboy hats and coats that they very well could have been my coat. That's when my head started really like
He
exploding.
said, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my word, it
they
was so
doing?
good. And
That
then
was bizarre.
I was so tired that morning, but I think, what was it? Julian was like, oh yeah, and then we have other announcements. And then they were like over at me and was like, Brianna, do you have an announcement? And I was like, nope. I was like,
And I had no idea what was going on.
And then of course me like, oh, I didn't realize that we didn't announce what actually is happening today.
Why we're all dressed up.
I was like, oops.
That was really funny. So we do have a picture if you guys care.
They do care.
But the one day everybody dressed up like
But
me,
Phillip.
I didn't dress up like me.
It was
So
hilarious.
that was actually really funny.
It was so good. Kudos to
Sorry,
everybody
so,
else out there.
yeah.
Good teamwork.
That was wild. All right.
Same time next year.
No, let's dress up like somebody else. All right. So we did the prayer request offering and then you did a game. What did you guys do?
Oh yeah, Haiti did like this. What is that like headbands?
yeah,
flip
it's like a
thing?
headbands game.
Okay, yeah.
So she had words.
yes,
So only the person that's wearing it doesn't
but
know
she
what the
called
word
up like one student at a time, and
So
like
all the girls participated.
yes, so all the girls in the I guess
Who
in the
gave
seat,
the clues? The whole crowd?
the whole crowd, yes. And so then the girl that was standing up had to guess what like the clues that they're trying to give them.
Got it.
I thought it was a super neat game.
It was fun. The girls were very, very involved in the game.
Yes,
Did you guys do an action song?
we did.
Okay, we are in shared classes. We're right next to each other. There
Was
are
it
open
loud?
vents.
That's what I was
I didn't hear a word.
Did you
I
really?
never heard your action song. No.
Wow,
I think you guys were outside when we did our action.
Oh,
That
Or
would
you were
explain
too
a lot. Well, honestly, I was afraid that we were going to be overpowering each other. I was actually very pleasantly surprised that there wasn't more overlap. in
Oh,
noise
yeah.
I think you really were outside though doing
At
your
that
game.
specific time. Okay.
because then after that we heard rumbling.
They're
Well,
marching.
our song was kind of loud.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, but it wasn't that bad.
No, it really didn't come through that much.
Okay, so we still had the segments, or as Brother Gabe Baker calls them, building blocks, but they were just slightly different form, tailored for girls 10 to 11 and boys 10 to 11, and slightly longer. So after that game, did the action song, and which song did you guys do?
I have decided to follow Jesus by group music, I believe.
Did you and Keith talk?
Nope.
Because he was going to do that song.
Oh, really?
I promise. And then he changed it
funny.
at the last second.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah,
I love that. Nope, we
That would have
had,
been awesome.
wow.
we just had the same big brain idea. That's all.
Apparently. And then we had the first lesson, and that was, I believe, Sarah again.
Yes.
And how interesting is it to have to do so many things in the same day instead of like one thing and that's it?
I feel like it's more fun.
I liked it. I actually really liked it.
It's
Yeah,
super
really
neat.
busy.
It's fun though.
But I like being
Yeah,
busy.
I
I
do.
like
Like-
the busyness of it.
Yeah.
These little classes are like the equivalent of what summer is like for super class when everybody's gone.
Winter retreat when everybody's gone but 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what'd you do?
So I got this really, really, really small box and a vacuum. And I told them, I asked someone to come up and I said, please fit this vacuum into the box. And so she's like, oh, I can do that. And she like grabbed it and tried to like place it in the box. And I was like, no. I need it so the box can close. And so she's trying her best and she's like trying to pull the little thing off. This is not my vacuum. It's a school vacuum. So I'm like, wait.
So sorry to whoever's vacuum I borrowed.
He has a screwdriver. The thing's in 57
I was
pieces.
like, even if you dismantle it, it's not going to fit in here. I asked you an impossible task. You can't fit this vacuum into this small box. So I had her sit down and I explained that sometimes we put God in a box and he's way too big to be put in a box and he can do anything. And so when we're setting our goals, we should keep that in mind. And so instead of writing small goals like God can only save one person this year or something like that, like why don't we say God can save one person every day of this year? So we're setting bigger goals because God is a big God.
Pray big prayers.
So
I like
good.
that.
I liked it so much. And it was a really good visual, too. That'll definitely stick with me forever.
Very cool. And then we had a Bible story. Sister Leia, what'd you do?
We told the story of Nehemiah and
Hey,
the wall.
that's what we did.
Stop.
I promise we did.
No way.
Okay. Wait. Did you only have half a castle wall built though?
No.
So we only had half our castle wall. So the girls came out.
Do you have to flex on every part of this?
Yes.
Really?
I mean, no.
The girls all came out in construction gear and they're like arguing and fussing over the wall. We've got to get this built. And Bree's trying to take charge and tell the girls, okay, do this and do that. And Sarah's like, what is construction? Like,
What's drywall?
She goes, well, it's not wet wall, you know? So they're going back and forth, just absolutely ridiculous. Like they're not going to get this wall built, right? So
We're
then
not
I come
professionals.
in, it was hilarious the way they were doing it. And we actually have a space where there's no wall behind the throne. So the throne technically is unprotected. So then I come in and I'm like, well, they're arguing. What are you arguing about? And we kind of figure it out. And I said, well, I'm really glad that I'm here then. And they're like, why? And I pull out the Bible. And they're like, what are you going to do? Fix the wall with the Bible? And I said, no, I'm going to tell you a story. So I had the girls sit down in the crowd of young people, and I started telling them the story, and I went through the whole thing. And then next week, should I spoil it?
For the one student that listens to this podcast, we'll just call it, they get a little sneak preview. Sure.
We're going to finish the wall. So this Sunday, they're going to come in, and the wall's going to be finished.
We did so good with the drywall.
We did. And we didn't even leave it wet.
A drywall castle wall. Probably not the intended or the best material for that, but hey, whatever works.
So we told that story.
It was so good.
And then memory verse, Haiti.
She did so good.
Yes.
Interestingly, Haiti did the memory verse for you guys, and her husband Keith did the memory verse for us. So I wonder if there's
No
any
way.
shared mind melding going on here.
that's
What'd you
cool.
get? What'd you do?
Like hot potato, but with the dodgeball and
Not what we did. All right. They didn't even talk.
Okay.
and then like so Haiti had like a little sign that said the scripture on it, which is Acts 2:38. And then they tossed the ball around, and when they would say a few words of the scripture, and then they toss it to somebody else, they would say a few words of the scripture, they toss it to someone else, and like so on and so forth.
It was super
Very cool.
cool. Can you imagine trying to do that in super class?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's dangerous.
Stealing the ball.
This is a point, though, where I have to say I found one of the neatest parts for me was when they got engaged.
Yes.
So super class, it's easy to kind of, I don't know, hide. If you don't want to participate, you feel embarrassed because maybe you can't really read very well or whatever this scenario is, right? And so in this small setting, you can't really hide. So it opens the girls up to communicating with us more. So I know we had one girl who was like, I'm not really sure I can do that. And of course, Haiti's very good at making them comfortable.
Yes.
She's like, I'll help you. Just catch the ball. I'll help you. And so she did. She kind of walked a couple of girls through that. And that really opened it up to them participating even more.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a couple of these girls participate before.
Haiti is so good at that. Like,
So cool.
She's such like a good, like big sister figure, but with like a motherly touch to it too. It just makes you like melt. Like, I just love her so much.
They
That's
felt
really
really
cool.
comfortable.
I love that. That's we're more pros of a smaller classroom.
Absolutely.
And so people always ask me, what is the perfect setup for Sunday school? And there is no right answer to that. It's whatever your
really-
facilities dictate.
It's whatever you have.
Yeah.
You
Work with what you got.
You work with what you got. That's a great point. And there's benefits to both. Like in a smaller classroom, it is less or is more of a challenge to have an effective altar call, but it wasn't a challenge for you guys.
No.
Because from super class, we've had such a tradition of altar calls that it's been built and carried over. So you can still have kids getting the Holy Ghost even in a smaller class. And that's what I hear most of the time is, well, you don't get that church atmosphere, but you can still absolutely lead into altar calls and kids getting touched. I love it. All right, final lesson. I saw lots of pictures, lots of luggage. I have no idea what happened though. What on earth?
So I had stolen this idea from Instagram. I was going to reference it today, but I have not looked up the things yet. But I saw this, I think it was last week, and it was my inspiration because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, how do I do that with like goals for the year? Like that's such a broad and non-specific lesson kind of thing. So I saw this video on Instagram, and it was from a preacher, I think. I think Sarah even saw it too.
Calvary Church.
Oh, perfect. That was my inspiration.
I seen it Sunday morning right before the lesson.
Really? But yes, I took inspiration from this and was like, that's perfect. So then what I had done is at the beginning of the lesson is I pulled out a whiteboard, so graciously given by Sister Leia. And I asked the girls, what are some goals that we can set for this year? Good godly goals are the things that we're wanting to set. And so a lot of them, again, with the participation, a lot of the girls are like, oh, we want to like pray more, want to read the Bible more, want to start Bible studies. We want to
Hydrate.
Yes. Spend less money. And just like practical goals, but also like, spiritually driven goals as well. So we had a whole list and things. And I said, okay, perfect. This is excellent. Let's all, and I was like, well, this would be good. And we can also help each other. Like we're not in this year by ourselves. That's why we have everyone around. We can help and support each other. And I was like, okay, but before we do that, I got to go grab something really quick. So then I went to the back of our castle and I grabbed all of my luggage from last year. And so the luggage that I was carrying was different sizes and it had various different things or baggage that I'm holding on to still from last year. So things like grudges or anger or disappointments or past failures or things like that, self-doubt, a lot of things that, we didn't accomplish in 2023. We sometimes don't realize that we're holding on to it, but it does hinder the growth and the progress that we can have in this new year. And it can hinder the work that God's wanting to do with us. So I grabbed my luggage and I was like, okay, I'm ready. So then I like smoosh myself in amongst the crowd and find an empty seat. And I say, I'm like trying to squeeze past all the ladies there and I'm like bumping into them and stuff like that. And so then I sit down and then I think Sister Leia read, or Sarah, I figure Sister Leia read it. So she read over all their goals and I was like amening all the goals that we had and stuff. And I was like telling the girls to do the same. And then I was whapping my luggage around like a maniac. So then I get back up and I was like, okay, well, we read all the list. That's super good. I'm really excited to do all the things. So then I get back up to the front and I don't know if someone mentioned it first, but they're like, why do you have all that stuff with you? And I was like, oh, it's just a couple little things from last year. It's totally fine. They're like, well, you don't need to carry that anymore. And I was like, yeah, I kind of do. Like it's a part of who I am. Anyway, let's move on and carry on with like 2024. So then this was really neat. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the girls, especially one of the quieter ones, and one of the girls from my bus especially, she should have just taught the entire lesson. Like she got on to me.
I did hear a little bit about this. I want to hear it in person.
It was so neat. So she was like, what was it? A lot of the girls were like, yeah, you don't need to be carrying that stuff around anymore. And I was like, well, it's really nothing that big of a deal. And so then some of the teachers, and I think Sister Sarah commented, and it was like, yeah, well, that stuff's not very good for you. And let alone like you were like affecting other people that you were sitting around with too. Like, it was distracting or it was hindering them from participating or you like literally bumped into them. And then a couple of the other girls too, they were saying like, especially the one in the front, super amazing. Yes. She was saying like, yeah, that stuff isn't good for you. Or like, I know like stuff hurts and stuff, but like I get hurt all the time too, but you just got to let it go. And I was like, oh, okay.
I'll go sit down now.
And I was like, started quoting scripture about casting your cares.
I was like, wow.
This is one of the bus riders?
Yes.
Go, girl.
I know. I was like, wow, she should be the teacher. Fantastic.
Like, amen.
Yes.
I was like in the back. I was like, yes.
And I was like, what do you mean I can't carry this stuff from last year? Like, it's like, how am I supposed to be better if I don't have the memories of what I've failed at before? And they're like, that's not how you do the things.
Wasn't there a girl that was talking about depression or something like that, and how you need to get rid of depression?
Mm-hmm. I think that was her. One. Yeah, same one. She was like, yeah, whatever, like depression, anxiety, like you just gotta like let it go and give it to God. And I was like, oh, all right. I'll just step down from there.
You know, it's so funny. Usually you need like teachers' input to get your like message across.
Yes.
But we did not have to say much. She was doing all the work. And
We were just
like,
the amen corner.
Another benefit of a small class.
Yes.
That direct interaction with the kids.
Oh my word, it was
cool.
so
The girls were
good.
very engaged with the final lesson,
Yes.
which is something you don't see in super class. Mm-hmm. It was so cool.
It was super neat, and then the teachers in the back also added a couple points too. But the girls were just like on it, and I was like, I didn't think I was gonna get so much of a response, and I'm like, no, I have no idea what to say. I'm stuck. You all did so good. Yes, now time for altar call. That's essentially what happened. So, but it was so good.
And the girls prayed for quite a while after that.
They did. They're so sensitive.
They really are.
So cool.
They prayed
don't
with
feel
each other. They prayed just on their own.
intimidated, I think.
And it was so neat. I don't want to assume, but I would think that it was just such a great thing for all of us teachers to see, because it's in super class, you do see a lot of kids leave during altar call, like just kind of slip out the back because they want to go do stuff outside and like go have fun, which makes sense. But like all of our kids stayed in class, and like some of the girls that even were like super shy and really, they were at least just there participating.
Right.
Like they didn't leave and say, okay, we'll dismiss the whole thing. Like they
None of them
all
took
were
off.
in there. Yeah. And I thought that was,
And
I thought
part
that
of
was
that is
amazing.
just the classroom setup.
Yeah.
You know, we have a curtain in super class that a kid can slip out, and
Right.
unless you got somebody posted there, they can slip out unannounced. Oh, what?
I'm sorry, it just hit me. Did
What?
you guys have a bunch of bathroom runs?
No.
We had zero.
I don't
We
think I
had
had
zero.
one. I had zero.
Zero.
That's amazing. I didn't
usually
think
it's like
of that
50 kids going to the bathroom at
Yes.
once.
You're like, how
have
are-
a whole long
Like
bench
you
line.
cannot be all synced up like that. And I'm like, what?
I did not think about that, but that's a very good point.
Or like
you mentioned
asking
the
for
curtain.
like water,
We
or
had zero.
asking for this or that or the other. Yeah. That's a great point. I wonder how they did in super class. Like if it was a little bit.
It
younger
was
of a
it was
crowd.
better, but it is part of that building setup. So they have the nice
True.
decorations, but you also have a flimsy back wall.
That is true. There's not just a door with a
and you
teacher
have-
standing
You
next
have
to
giant windows that you have to contend with, and we have to cover up every Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's benefits.
a good point.
And
Both.
drawbacks. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
was
so
good.
good.
And Erica said she got feedback from 2 bus kids that were on her bus, and they liked it a lot, and they said because it's more mature, and they liked that.
Neat.
And
Very
it's more
cool.
personal.
I think they could connect better with it too.
Well, I
Because they
think that
feel
was-
more seen, I think, by the teachers too.
I think that was one of the biggest fears of both the teachers and the students, especially the ones that have been in there for a while and really love Superclass, was that they're getting pulled out of something they really like,
Right.
Yeah.
and they're losing something. So and you guys did the same. We made it our goal that these kids are going to like it better than Superclass, not because it's better necessarily, but it's more
Right.
adapted to these kids.
Yes, it's catered. Yeah.
I didn't want them to come in feeling like, man,
I
I'm
know.
taken out of my favorite place.
And I think they did feel that
Oh,
when they
sure.
were walking up to the door.
Yes.
But once they stepped through it, I think it went away. In
I think
fact,
so.
I did exactly what you did. I polled the kids afterwards. So
Yes.
what'd you think? And this is just a good metric for me. Dawson Booker is one of the Superclass fanboys. Like literally, he goes back through and rewatches all the old ones. I mean,
How
he's
funny.
he's a fiend, right? He can literally you can tell him a song and he can tell you the date and the timestamp
Stop.
and take you to it. He's scary.
Genius.
Yeah.
Wow.
My point in saying that is he was really bummed that he had to leave Superclass. So after I asked him, I'm like, "How was it?" He goes, "It was awesome."
Oh, that's
He
so
said this
good.
is yeah. He really, really loved it. So
That's cool.
super
Love that.
exciting.
Good feedback.
I'm not going to go in quite as much detail because ours is very similar to what you guys have done.
Because we talk too much.
He was being nice.
You said everything that needs. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But we had a very similar schedule. Wow.
My time is up.
There's the
Podcast
timer.
is over. Bye, everybody.
Wow, that was quite an alarm. My son needs that because he cannot wake up in the morning.
I need
That's
that
why I
too.
have
Geez.
Yes. All right. So
heart
the boys, we had the pre-class dead air filler. I'm sorry, Bob. I don't know what you did. Then we did the welcome, and this was a big deal for me because I wanted the intro from the start to be, guys, this is for you. This is the cool kids, is what I kept calling them. This is the cool class. We've had an awesome time in super class. We're going to take the best elements of it and we're going to add some new ones for you guys to make it feel like this is. I think I can't remember how I phrased it, but it was something to the effect of, we want it to be, we're not going to treat you like kids. We're going to treat you like the young men you are, but you have to respond that way as well. So we're
Excellent.
This is a two-way street. And so it went, the intro went really well. We did the rules. We made them super, super simple. I said, guys, we don't do soap. We
ain't about that life.
Well, we ain't about that. Yeah. So I told them that just be respectful, participate, and have fun. We made them as simple as can be. Be respectful, participate, have fun.
Nice.
We did the game. We did prayer requests, and that was Brother Ruben. We did it in class. Like I mentioned, we had the kids raise their hand and actually give the prayer request out loud. And then for the offering, I knew, especially because we don't do offering in class that much with super class, if the kids are probably not likely to have much. So I told Ruben, I said, let's really focus on what they can give that day on time. Like, what can they give God then this week of prayer and fasting? What can they give to God?
That's so good.
So just make up your mind. Sometimes we'll have them write it on paper, but we didn't do that. We just said, pick something that you're going to give God this week.
That's neat.
And you're going to give that in the virtual offering. And so everybody was able to give something.
That's neat.
I like that.
Then we did the game. And this time we went outside. And we told the boys that we're going to be doing stuff like this occasionally because you guys can handle it. You guys are grown, cool young men. And I know you can go out and still come back and concentrate after. And so we went out and played knockout basketball.
I love it.
So they just played basketball for a few minutes, came back in, and I really think that helped them burn the energy, but also to think, wow, we can do stuff like this.
That's cool.
We're big boys.
That's neat.
That was part of the reason I wanted that first game. It didn't tie a lick into the lesson. It didn't. The whole point really was to let them feel the difference in how we can run the class, or rather how we can treat them because they're older and mature kids. So anyway, I know there's you should tie everything into a lesson. That one didn't necessarily. Action
it's a
song.
secret lesson.
Yeah. Keith Zamora did Lord's Army. I'm in the Lord's Army.
Oh, neat.
That's why you guys heard the stomping, because they were marching in place.
That's the only thing I heard, though. So
Yes.
Did you hear the yes, sir? You didn't hear him scream yes,
No.
sir? Really?
Nothing.
Yeah, I was
They
worried
were
that our song was too
bellowing.
loud, and I was like, "Ooh,
No, they were loud.
that's funny." We heard nothing. Mm-mm.
And here I am thinking, we have 10, 11-year-old boys. Are they really going to participate in an action song? Now, I know some of them, you guys know, like Cody and Dawson, all them, they're on the front row.
For sure do.
They're frantic, right? But all the other ones are kind of too cool, right? I didn't know how they would fit in. Every last one of them participated.
I believe it.
And they
That's
were
cool. Ours did too.
In fact, I even said, guys, the girls aren't here. Nobody cares what you look like.
No one's looking at you.
So let's just have fun.
That's hilarious.
And they did. Every single one of them were singing the song and didn't give a lick. What give a lick? What does that mean? That's not even a thing. I just made up a phrase. They didn't care what anybody thought about them, and we had a lot of fun singing that song. And then we did the first lesson. Bob Lee did the deal with the chemicals, where you turn the it's like clear chemicals, but he can turn them red or blue on command depending on how much of this stuff he squeezes into it.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Phenolphthalein
Kind of would like to see that one.
and something or other. But he talked about how we all look the same, but we react. It's all when God fills us with the Holy Ghost, we respond and it changes our lives.
That's
It makes us something
neat.
different.
I would
It's pretty
like to know what this lesson was, Brother Lee.
too.
Then we did the Bible story and surprise, Nehemiah. But we told it very different than you guys. So we more narrated it, but we had kids come up, not act it out, but one of them was Nehemiah, and me and Reuben told the story about how Nehemiah was taken captive. He was taken slave to Persia, and this dude, he could have pouted and been just I hate this place. This is ridiculous. I can't believe this happened to me. Instead, he became one of the most trusted people in the whole land, where he became the cupbearer to the king. The king trusted him enough to put his life in his hands, of a slave, of a guy that he just captured. Like that, that's some serious trust. So talk about how you have to put yourself in a position for God to use you. You have to, have enough integrity where people trust you and God can use you.
That's good.
And so he had the goal. He wants to go build the walls. And so they went back and just talked about the kind of the challenges they had, people making fun of them. This can never happen. You're a slave with the king. How could you possibly, why would the king let you go back and rebuild the walls that very king tore down? He'd never let you do that unless God's behind it, and anything can happen.
True.
And so we talked about set goals that are so big that everybody says they're impossible, and then watch God do them.
Ooh.
And so this guy,
I like it.
just a cupbearer slave, not only was allowed to go back, the king sent soldiers with him to go help. I mean, it's just the craziest story in the Bible. So he goes and rebuilds the walls despite all odds. And so guys, make big goals this year.
That's really
and
cool
God's
how
gonna
we
help
told
you
the
carry
same
them out.
thing, but kind of took a different take on it, but
cool.
with
Yeah.
the same
End
goal
goal.
setting in mind.
Yeah.
How interesting.
That is interesting.
Good job.
Did the memory verse, that was Keith, Acts 2:38. He just had it on the whiteboard with some blanks. And the boys we had 2 sections in our class. And so we had one boy from each section, and they did rock, paper, scissors. And whoever won got to fill in a word
Oh,
in the
stealing that for later.
Acts 2:38. But what was cool is our side was trouncing them. I mean, it was like we had almost our whole thing filled out. We had like two blanks left, and the other one only had 1 or 2 filled in. So, I mean, we were just destroying them. And then the wheels fell off, and we couldn't win for nothing.
The wheels
Came
fell
down
off.
literally to the last game. Who was going to win the last rock, paper, scissors?
Wow.
And we did prevail. Yeah, then we all did Acts 2:38 together.
Nice.
So you're probably asking, how does Acts 2:38 tie in? It doesn't really. We just have a series of doctrinal verses that we are memorizing for an entire month. Acts 2:38 is the one for January. Did the final lesson. And again, we're dealing with boys. We have 10 to 11-year-old boys. We don't do soap. And
So
boys kind of dig gross, right? They dig explosions, fire, and gross really
okay.
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay?
True.
So we did.
I love language, really.
It is. And so I figured I didn't want to burn down Sister Lee's classroom. So instead we ran with gross. So I had a trash can, filled it with all kinds of nasty things, coffee grounds and mustard and gooey stuff, toilet paper and napkins. But it was all clean stuff, but it didn't look clean. I knew where it came from, and I knew there was nothing really gross. It's just, it looked really
Yeah.
Not
foul.
an actual tissue.
Well, it was an actual tissue. It just didn't have anything
It
blown
wasn't
into
used
it.
tissue.
Yeah.
A fresh tissue, perhaps.
Yeah, so I filled it up with all this gross stuff, but at the very bottom there was buried a packaged string cheese at the very bottom. Well, I told the boys how hungry I am, and all the stuff we've done this year or this Sunday has really, really made me hungry. And so I want something. So I was looking around the room. I'm like, you know what? There's got to be something in here. So I pull up the trash can, and Seth was helping me teach. He's like, bro, you're not going to dig through the trash can for food. I'm like, there's got to be something good here. And he was the good cop. I was bad cop, right? So his whole shtick was there's better places to look for food than the trash can.
True.
And we liken this to
Very true.
If you want if you want to get things done this year, you need to go to the right place.
That's good.
And so you can dig through the trash. You can go hang out with the friends you've always hung out with that you've never got anything positive accomplished through. You can go play those video games. You can go through social media. You can go through Hollywood. All those different things are just going to land you in a trash can.
That's good.
And you're digging through, and you might find something good at the bottom. And so as I'm saying this, I pull up this nasty, and I'm pulling out nasty stuff, and the kids literally are screaming. Ah! In fact, Jacob got up and ran out.
Stop.
We had to go. We had to go chase him down because he's like, I can't take this. So he left. Oh, no. So we had to go bring him back.
That's hilarious.
So at the very bottom, we pulled out that string cheese, opened it, and the boys half of them were saying, eat it. Half of them were like, no. So of course I had
Tell
to eat
you
it.
who was telling you to eat it. I know exactly who those were.
Yeah. So we ate it. The kids were grossed out. Half of them thought it was really cool. And then Seth and I came up with different ways or good places to come up with good things this year. So the house of God, prayer, reading the Word of God, not hanging out with those friends and all that. So
That's good.
Yeah, go to the right place.
What a good lesson.
Yeah,
Very cool.
and gross.
Yes, but it'll stick with them forever, so it's
Which was
okay.
perfect.
We would have lost
We've
all of
used
the
it in the-
girls.
I don't think they would have hung very well. Yeah. So know your audience.
They would have scolded us for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So that's where we ended. We went into prayed at the end, of course, and we didn't have the type of altar call that you had. And I wanted to tell people you can't force that stuff to happen.
Right.
You try to set the stage every time and let God work it out. That's all we can do. And so, in all of our classes, we expect to see kids get the Holy Ghost every week. But if it doesn't happen,
Oh, in
we
Jesus'
don't feel like we failed. We feel like as long as we did our part and we set the
Right.
stage, God, we hand it off. What does it say? One plants, one waters, but God gives the increase.
Oh, yes.
That's all you can do. Let God do his thing. Anyway, anything else that you guys want to touch on? Oh, breakfast. So we
Yeah.
I did get some feedback from the 5 to 9 year olds that they had some escapees at the beginning of class and they had some late entries. So some of our routes, orange. Not kidding.
Look.
I'm sorry. It's just too easy. It's like
Easy.
It's New Year's, same jokes in.
it is, yeah. It's like this softball sitting there.
Buy
And
him
you
some
got to
new
hit it.
jokes.
I know.
Anyway, some of the routes that shall remain nameless show up either a touch late or right on time, but the kids are hungry and they want to eat breakfast. And so what that leads to is they serve them breakfast, and then they sit and enjoy it, and then they go back for seconds, and then they have to wash their hands. And by the time it's over, 15 minutes have passed, and then they're trickling into class. Well, we only have an hour.
Yeah.
So it's literally 25% of class is gone. And so we have set a very, it sounds really mean thing in place, but hear us out. The kitchen will be shutting down at 5 till 10 every Sunday. The last one served will be 9:55, and they'll have 5 minutes to finish up.
Yep.
Might bleed over a little bit, but hopefully not 15
Right.
minutes over.
Right.
And the ones that come in after that, we'll have food set aside for after class so they can eat. And if there's a likelihood of a bus running late, orange, we'll have some pre-packaged breakfast items like muffins or something like that they can take ahead of time. I'm sorry, that is so mean. It's
Maybe just install a cabinet on the bus.
yeah,
Yes.
something like that, just so you guys have a stockpile
Like
of
it.
food, so kids do get food. And that does have a tendency to settle down some of the more rambunctious
Yes.
ones. So we don't want to eliminate it by any means.
Right.
And so that's what we're trying this Sunday. We'll let you know how it works. We don't
that'd be
know
good.
yet. but
I know we have tried that too in the past a couple of times, like to bring like little muffins, like you said, and stuff. And then sometimes like just we'll explain like, oh, this is our breakfast because we will be getting to the class late. But as soon as the kids get there and they see the kitchen is still open, they're like, "Ma, food!" So yeah, that's gonna be
Or
different.
some of the kids will go on the playground and play,
right.
eat, no matter what we tell them.
Uh-huh.
And then they come in right when we call them in for class, and all of a sudden it's time for breakfast. Well,
I'm
there's not
starving.
going to
Yes,
be breakfast
I'm
now.
so hungry. Like, well,
And so they'll,
Yeah.
we're hoping that it'll help them realize, hey, this is not going to be available past a certain time, so I better take advantage of it early.
yes.
So we will let you know how that works for us, and tell you if it was
You're
worth
right.
doing.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It's been a great day, and we'll see you next time. God bless.
Bye.
We'll see you later. Bye.